Hello and welcome. I'm your geek Eric, and today we're going to start a series about learning how to use Git on the command line as it pertains to game development. So in this video, we're just going to get started and we're going to create a new repo. We're going to clone that repo. We're going to add a project into it. Today we're going to be using Godot, but you could use Unity as well. So you're going to need a couple of pieces of software to follow along. You're going to need to have Git installed. If you're on Windows, a great program to go download is Git Bash. On Mac, I believe it's pre-installed. And if you're running Linux, like I am, then you could just sudo apt install git, or your distribution may have it installed already. You're also going to need, in my case, I'll be using Godot. You could use Unity. And then make sure that you have a GitHub account. I'm already logged in. I'm on my profile page. This should look similar for you if you're looking at your profile page. But we're just going to want to come up and we could hit new here, or we could hit the plus sign here, and we need to make a new repository. So we're going to be getting started. I'm going to leave it public, so I'm not going to add a description. I am also going to leave it public, but I will be deleting this project after the video series is over with. Again, if you're working with teammates, a README would be nice. Just kind of a short step of instructions of how to get your project up and running. Maybe if you have any software that you're using, what version of that software, that'd be a great thing to leave in the README. So like in this instance, the version of Godot. If this was a 3D project, maybe the version of Blender that you're using, etc. So we're going to want to add a gitignore. Quick explanation of what a gitignore is. It's basically a list of files and folders and file types that you don't want Git to track. Why would I not want Git to track a file? That's the whole point of source control. I want to share my project with teammates, or I want to back up my project. And that is true, but there are still files that are generated on your computer that are computer specific. In Unity, there's a big library folder that is computer specific. So let's say one person is running a Mac, one person's running Windows, one person's running Linux. That library folder is going to look different. Another reason that you don't want to copy that in the source control is it's massive and it gets generated whenever Unity opens. So there's no real need to track it. In Godot, there are similar files to that, although there's not one that's that big. If you're using the C# version of Godot, there are some binary files from C# that you don't want to track. Anyway, if you're using Godot for this tutorial, choose the Godot template. If you're using Unity, choose the Unity template. If you would like to know more about, the gitignore, I will be making a video specifically about the gitignore later on. As far as choosing a license, I will not be choosing one because this repo has no relevance. There will be no code to open source really, and no code to closed source. So I'm just gonna leave that blank. You can make the decision for your own project. So now we have our project here. I'm going to come over and click clone. I'm going to highlight this URL and copy it. Now I'm going to open up my terminal. And I like having a folder where I put all my Git projects. If you need to make that, if you would like to do that as well, you can make that folder by typing mkdir and then git. But I already have one, so I'm just going to go into my Git folder. Let's look around. Okay. So the first command we're going to do is we're going to learn about cloning a repo. And the awesome thing about Git compared to some other source control software is that it's not just that GitHub has all of your files. It's that every person that's using the project has their own copy of the repo. So that's why it's called cloning. It's because you're actually making your own copy of the entire repo. We're just going to paste in that URL that we got earlier. We're going to download that. And I'm going to download a second copy of the repo. If you want to be named something else, then all you have to do is at the end of that command, go in and type what you want the project to be called. And now we have both of those repos. And I'll actually be using the second one to demonstrate pulling someone else's change. So let's go in and now we're inside of getting started. Let's look around. So we could see changes by typing in git status. That's going to tell us that we're on the main branch and there's nothing to commit. There's been no changes. We can check out the commits by typing in git log. If we want, okay, so this is actually the commit on GitHub that had the git ignore. So that's cool. Okay, so we're going to initialize our Godot project into our repo. So let's go to Godot. Let's click new project. Let's go browse to our repo, select the repo, and then say, I'm just gonna call this project Getting Started Godot. Let's create the folder. So how we're gonna do this is we're gonna make our Godot project a subfolder in our repository. And I like doing that because I like tracking blend files and GIMP files and CRITA files and those kinds of binary files that Godot doesn't want to deal with inside of its project, but I still like tracking them in Git so that people can work on them and pass them back and forth. And to do that, I like having a blend folder in my repo and a GIMP folder and whatever project files need to be stored separately. So we actually don't need to do anything in here. We can just go ahead and close this. And let's go over and let's type out that git status and see what's been changed. Okay, so we can see that we've added a new folder and files inside of Getting Started Godot. So let's go over a new command. We're gonna add all of the file changes because we've checked out the file changes and we know that we want to add them. So we could use a command -a or -a, and that will add all the files. Or if we just wanted to add like one file at a time, we could type in that one file directly here or a folder. But we want to add everything, so we're going to do -a. Then we need to, so what we just did is we've staged our changes. We haven't actually committed them yet. We've just staged them. And so we can check out the status again. We can see all the files that we have staged. But now, see, it says changes to be committed. But now let's go in and let's actually commit them like our get ignore was. So we're going to do git commit. We want to do tachyum. And that's the argument or flag to say that what's following this is going to be the message of the commit. So you want to make sure this message is short, but also gets the point across of what you've done. And if you can't do that in a short kind of title-like way, then you probably did too much at once. And you should work on really like committing one set of changes at a time. And that just gives you more points to roll back to if something goes wrong. So let's just call this initialize Godot project. So now we have committed our changes to our local repository. But if we have a teammate or if we're wanting to back up our project, we need to make sure that it's on GitHub. And if we come over here and refresh, nothing's changed. So let's go over another command. We're going to do git push. And that's going to push our changes from our local repository to the repository on GitHub. Now if we refresh this page, we can actually see our changes. Now, I've been kind of giving one person's perspective. What if there's another teammate? Well, let's go check out that other folder that we cloned, because we cloned 2 copies of this repo. So let's go check out this copy and let's see what's in here. Okay, there's nothing been changed. Now let's check out all the commits using git log. Oh, it's just saying that we have the initial commit, not the one that we've just done. Well, what you need to do before you start working, before you commit, before you push, you need to go in and fetch everyone else's commits. And so after you fetched, now you need to pull. So we're going to pull down a copy of what's out there. Okay. So as you can see, we've pulled in the changes. I'm going to go over some of these details a little more in depth later on. So now if we go into git log, we can see both the commits. And that head symbol, that tells us where our version of the repo is. Because you could actually be on a previous commit. So we could set our repo to be on this first commit, but still be able to see where origin's at. Okay. So let's go in, and as the last thing we're going to do, let's go make a change and commit it. So for the last part of this video, I'm going to demonstrate kind of that one person's working on something and then they commit it and then the other person pulls it. So let's open up the second repo. And we're just going to make a simple change. We're going to add a new scene. So let's just add a 2D scene. I'm going to call it world. Let's save that. We can go ahead and close out of the project. A lot of times in both Unity and Godot, it's a good practice to close your project before committing or pulling files. Close that, close this. Let's go check out and see if we have our change. We should have 1 or 2 new files. Okay, I want to add both of these files to the commit. So let's just type git add all. Let's make sure everything's staged like we want. Okay, they're both staged. We have a new file, we have a modified file. So let's go ahead and commit these changes. So I can just say started work on the world scene. Now let's push. And now we go holler at our teammate. So now we're back in that first repository. Now if we come in here and we pull, we can see we got those changes. And now to round out this video, we can open back up Godot. We can open that first repository. And if everything's working right, we should have a scene called world. Okay, guys, I hope this video was informative. If it was, please like, please subscribe. There will be more parts to this series coming out every 1 to 2 weeks. And I want some communication on this series. If there's some Git questions, stuff about merging, stuff about branching, these kind of topics, drop them in the comment section down below. If you have a horror story about how Git either saved the day in your project or how you messed up and weren't using Git and you lost a project, hey, comment it down below as well. Those stories are fun, and we could all cringe together on the other half of those stories. But thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe. I'll be doing new videos every week. See you guys next time.